It's more than just your output, more than a bike. When you hear your shout out, you know it's all right. Put on your magic pants and let's go. We're cruising into the power zone. Clip in, set yourself free. Come on and take a ride with me. We know what you need to know and what's it all about. Everything you need, it's on the Clip Out.
Welcome to the Clip Out, episode 376. This is Crystal O'Keefe.
And this is Tom O'Keefe. You called me off guard. I didn't know that you were.
What are you doing over there?
Well, you're like, are you ready? And then you just started talking.
Well, I was doing all the things. I thought you were ready.
Now, are you recording in all the places?
I am. It's easier when it's all on one screen.
Okay.
Yes.
This is fascinating chatter for people.
I know.
So, I guess let's start with talking about you.
I love talking about me.
Yeah. Oh, we know. Because we never talk about me.
I was like, I think that's more of a you thing.
Yeah. So, you are going to be running the New York City Marathon.
Woo! I'm so excited. November 3rd. It is happening. It is official. I have the email. Finally. I've been waiting a very long time.
So you have the marathon in your future. My marathon is happening right now, which is dealing with your stress about the marathon.
Dude, I haven't even started stressing about that yet. I have? What am I doing? What am I stressing about?
Well, you're like, I need to add to this run, and then it's like, oh, something happens and you got to come home a little early, and then you're like, I didn't get all it in, and then
that's true.
And so, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's, the thing is I've done a lot of different steps to make myself faster.
Right.
And I don't really feel like any of it's working that dramatically.
Right.
And I know like you don't go from like week 1 to week 10 and like you've, made your pace like 10 minutes faster per mile. Like I get that.
Right.
But I have been seriously working on this since last August. And I did make a big jump, and now I feel like I can't seem to go any further than that. Like that was it. That's all I got.
Yeah.
And it's driving me crazy because I'm trying to follow what they tell me to do with the heart rate training. Mm-hmm. And so it's just like go slower. And it's so counterintuitive.
Yes, it would be.
Go slower to go faster.
You're like, that can't be a thing.
And the thing is, I don't really have a coach. Like, I have somebody that's kind of like I check in with every once in a while, but I don't have somebody saying, oh, add this or try this or do that. So, like, if anybody out there wants to coach me for free, let me know. I am using Strava programs, and I feel like that has helped me. But I also was running inside for a few months because it was so cold. And now I'm back outside, and I can tell a difference just in that because there wasn't as much incline. And we are surrounded by hills. Yeah. So when I go out for a run, like there is no flat run. It's impossible to do around here. Right. I mean, you have to go to like the Katy Trail to find a flat. Right.
Yeah, that's pretty flat, but that's because that was, I think, largely like railroad.
Yeah. It was designed that way on purpose. Right. But not for running. And I don't want to drive that far. I'm too lazy. I already spend so much time working out. I don't want to drive a half hour before I start working out.
Yeah, you drive 20 or 30 minutes just to get there and then have to drive, because it's right behind where I work.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm excited though. I'm very excited.
You should be. And I'm excited to stand there and watch.
Well, I don't know how you're going to navigate the whole city because there's like obviously 26 miles and there's all the different boroughs that I go through. Right. And so it's like, where are you going to meet me? Because it's 50,000 people.
Guess at the end?
You can't just wait till the end. Aren't you going to like see me pass by a few times?
I don't even know how that works.
You're just going to sit in the hotel room till I'm like, I'm almost there. You're going to be tracking me on the tracker.
I'm watching on the app.
Wander down 5 minutes before I show up.
Take a little nap. See if I can find any comic book stores open in New York City.
Let's be honest. You have plenty of time. Like, we all know I won't be finishing super early.
That's what I did at Big Sur.
I know. But in Atlantic City, you watched me in multiple spots. You were in multiple spots there.
Yeah, but I had someone that kind of knew what was going on.
Oh, that's true. You had Fred.
I had Fred, and so I just just went where Fred went.
Yeah.
I didn't do anything. I just went where Fred went. So that's a little different.
It is a little different.
I don't know how to just get around New York like that, especially in the middle of a marathon when the city shut down.
It will be insane.
I have no idea. That seems like that would be a business opportunity for people.
Yeah, I think it's called the New York subway.
But for the out-of-towners,
No, I
we'll
know.
get you from point A to point B.
Yeah, but you can't because there's no traffic. Like you can't.
And everybody you're following is presumably running at a different pace. So you'd
Right.
have some people that are like, I got to go now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can catch the next one or the next one.
Yeah, that's fair.
Still doing better than me, though.
Yeah.
So let's do our bingo call out.
Oh, yes. Let's get to
before
that.
we forget.
Okay. So our bingo call out this week, I'm not going to try to do the drum roll. Nobody ever commented on it. They wanted to be nice, and I appreciate them
Since
being
when
nice.
has the internet wanted to be nice?
Exactly. And so I am rewarding them.
Okay.
Chelsea Jackson Roberts.
There we go. So what, pray tell, do you have in store for people this week?
Well, we have our interview with Dana Wexler, and we are also going to be talking about Peloton. They just released this new history summary and
Yes.
all of their little tips for the secondary market. We've got all the details on that. We also have a recap of what we reported on 2 weeks ago of
Right.
Peloton dropping the free tier, and now the rest of the world
Right.
has decided it's a story.
Yes.
And so we'll be talking about a few interesting comments that did come out of that article. We also will be talking about the new ability to share classes from the bike. We will be talking about the studio closure, what's going on there, as well as a recap of the Boston Marathon and who is the newest instructor to announce they are running the London Marathon. And we have artist series and past guest updates, as well as lots of other content.
Awesome. Well, before we get to all that, shameless plugs, don't forget we're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, TuneIn, wherever you find a podcast, you can find us. While you're there, be sure and follow us so you never miss an episode. Maybe leave us a review. It's super helpful.
It is.
And greatly appreciated. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/theclipout. While you're there, like the page, join the group. It's a great place to start conversations and have
It is.
interaction with other Peloton users that isn't the OPP.
Yeah, and it's also a great place to have reactions to the episode. If you have questions about something, that's
sure.
a great place to do that as well.
Absolutely. Also, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/theclipout, where for $5 a month, you get ad-free episodes. You get bonus content. Every week we record an additional episode that's 20-25 minutes long with just stories that we didn't have time to get to in the regular episode. You can also there was some.
Well, if we get it early, you get it early.
There we go. That's
and
the other thing.
You get ad-free content.
Yes. So, and of course, you can watch all of these over on YouTube at youtube.com/theclipout. So there's all that. Let's dig in, shall we?
We shall.
Peloton in the news.
Peloton has created a history summary for the secondary market.
They have. They unveiled bike tips for buying a used bike this week. And
Just the tip.
and number one on that list was their new history summary, which is like Carfax,
Right.
but for your bike.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great
pretty cool.
addition. It is because, I know that there are people that think this is a silly thing, like unnecessary, right? But there are people out there that will try to sell bikes that are being rented,
Right.
and you can't turn them on if that's the case.
Yeah,
Like, you
and
can't do anything
You
with
can't
it.
tell till you get it home. And why people really think this is unnecessary? Has that been?
Have you
Oh my-
met people?
I mean, first off, if you think something's unnecessary, then it doesn't affect you. Just don't use it.
Right.
Right? Like
Again, have you met people?
My appendix is unnecessary, but I'm not on the internet complaining about its existence.
I got mine taken out.
Yeah. Well, I guess we know who you are on the internet. But this is going to, we've seen so many horror stories from people who have purchased bikes on the secondary market only to find out that is a rented bike and that person was not authorized to sell it. And then that person goes poof.
Yep.
And they spent $1,500
much.
bucks on a brick.
Yep, I know. Plus, they tell you how many hours that the bike has been ridden. They also tell
The
you
rest is still unridden.
they also tell you about the service visit history. So, like, if they've been out to service the bike
Right.
and what was wrong with it. Very similar to Carfax.
So does this only work on bikes at the moment?
No, it's Bike and Bike Plus.
Okay, what about treads?
Oh, no. We haven't done that yet. We're not
Okay.
there yet.
But you got to think that that's coming,
It's
right?
in beta mode.
Okay.
Like it's definitely, yes, there will be. I have no doubt.
Wait a second. How do you beta mode that?
I don't know.
Hey, somebody who might be buying a tread, we
think-
have this thing over here.
No,
how would you beta
I
mode
think
that?
it's like not all bikes are in the database just yet. So if you put it in, it may not show up just yet. Like they're still rolling it out.
Gotcha.
It's been like 3 days. Give it
Okay.
a second.
I
Give
was
it a
just-
second. But I thought that it was also interesting. I like to read the fine print on these things. So there were some interesting little asterisks
give
at
us
the end.
Give us the mouse print.
Okay, so there are. First of all, when they talk about the different screens, they say there's only 3 different generations of screens available. Older generation 1 and 1.1 may not include all software updates. Okay, so that's pretty, I think most people know that. And then all Bike Plus have generation 1.2. Go ahead.
If you're buying a used bike,
You may not know the lore.
you have no idea.
Maybe you're not obsessed with
Right.
learning everything
'Cause
about Peloton.
You're presumably new to the ecosystem, unless
True.
you're buying a second bike or something.
I would Google, but anyway.
Yeah.
So then it's date of first activation. So this I found interesting. It is the first month that the bike or Bike Plus has an active all access membership attached to it. So not how long that the bike has existed,
Right.
how long it has been active.
It might have sat in a Dick's Sporting Goods
There you go.
for 2 months before someone acquired it.
Also, if you buy a certified refurbished bike,
Okay.
then it is the first month after refurbishing that it was activated.
Okay.
Fair.
Yeah.
Okay. Now this I found super interesting. Number of Peloton workouts completed. Only cycling or cycling boot camps that were longer than 10 minutes, or if the class is 10 minutes or less, over 50% of the class must be included. This is instructor-based rides, just ride, scenic, entertainment, and lane break classes. No yoga, meditation, strength, cardio, or stretches. Also,
So things where you're not using the bike.
absolutely.
Okay.
The number of Peloton workouts includes the number of workouts the user may have deleted. So good try. Good try, people.
That was going to be my next question is what if you deleted classes today?
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Good.
Also, does not include any workouts completed when the Bike or Bike Plus was not tied to an all-access membership. So, they only used an app. I don't know why you would if you had the bike.
Seems weird, but I guess
It could happen.
could theoretically occur.
None of those would count.
Okay.
Okay. So then number of rides ridden during Peloton workouts, exactly the same thing as what I just said. So you're only going to see whenever it's the workouts we just listed. So
Yeah.
if it's turned off or it's not on an active membership, doesn't count.
Okay.
So just things to remember. Also, if there was a full frame replacement or self-help service, does not get included for the service visit history.
Okay.
So I just thought those were some very
That is-
interesting things that, I mean, actually, I'm very impressed that Peloton called all this out. They're not the best at thinking through things on the front end. Usually they get yelled at, then
Right.
they add. So this is a lot of information on the
It
front
is.
end.
And I think this is a great tool to put out there.
Absolutely.
And it gives them something to point to. If somebody does buy a rented bike, they can be like, well, you didn't do your due diligence. And
Exactly.
they added a thing at the bottom of every page on their website that's like, purchase a used bike, and if you click on that, it takes you right to that. But it's on every page on their website, so
Yep.
it's not like it's some weird tool that's buried on one page that you got to go hunting for. It's on literally every single page of their website.
It is. And the tips that they have in general are all great tips. The only thing I would add to their tips is check to make sure the bike actually connects to the internet. Just because it all turns on
Right.
doesn't mean it works. It should.
Right.
And it's probably fine, but you don't want to get it home. Also, if anyone tells you they're going to ship a bike, run. They're not. It's not going to work.
No.
They can't pack it well enough.
No.
It's going to fail. Run. Those are the two big things.
Trust us, we tried.
We did. It failed.
And it was an absolute shit show.
Yes, and that was done by a professional.
Yes.
And it still failed.
Yeah, a bike store, no less.
Exactly.
And yeah, it was just a nightmare.
Yeah.
So I think this is great. I also think this is kind of a fascinating window into the fact that they are more concerned about memberships than selling products, right? Like that they're actively helping people buy equipment on the secondary market.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. There's a lot of things on the secondary market to be careful of. Let's just say that.
For sure. So it's great that they're...
It is. I think it's a great tool too. I am not complaining about
Yeah.
it. Like, I am happy about this tool. I'm glad to see it out there. I think people will use it. They also pointed out right on the website that this is also good for people who are selling their bike. Include this information when you post it.
For sure.
Here's the details.
That's a really good point.
Absolutely.
And I'm trying to think, like, I honestly can't think of another company or product that has made resale
this easy
and added this layer of protection for people.
Not saying it doesn't exist, but I sure don't know of one.
Nothing's coming to mind, that's for sure.
I think that's an excellent point as well.
So CNBC had late breaking news. Emphasis on late.
Well, obviously they don't follow me.
Yeah.
You know, but it happens. They don't catch every little thing. But this was like 2 weeks later. I was really surprised.
It took full 2 weeks. So
I know.
CNBC is reporting on Peloton dropping the free tier level from their app membership.
Right.
And it's literally a story we reported 2 weeks ago.
On March 30th.
March 30th.
Yeah, it cracked me up. And I also thought it was funny that then every news outlet picked it up because, of course, they trust in MSNBC. And it's like, guys, yeah, okay.
And we had the screen grabs. It's not like we were just like, hey.
No, it's so funny to me because it's like, if you ever feel like when a woman talks, no one listens, this is a great example.
Yeah.
A great example. Like, I put it out, no one, but like, yeah. Anyway, I'm really okay. I'm not that mad about it.
I was mad.
I was mad, but I'm not mad anymore.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot in the world to be mad at,
Yeah.
so I quickly moved on. But I also wanted to point out that I thought it was interesting that they pulled a couple of quotes specifically from Liz Coddington, and she was doing some kind of she was at a conference, and I can't remember where the conference was. Oh, it was Morgan Stanley. And she said specifically that the free tier was cannibalizing efforts to convert free trial members to paid subscriber, and that's what led them to shift to the free trial model. But the interesting thing is that they already had a free trial, and they reduced it.
Right. They took it from 30 days to 7, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what McCarthy said during the last earnings call was that he thought that people would fall in love with it and then go for the paid membership, and they weren't getting that at all. So then they started focusing on the paid membership, and people were doing it. We've talked about that before as well, but I just thought that was an interesting quote because it's a slightly different take on the exact same thing, and I felt like Liz kind of added a little more color to what Barry said.
So people were doing, let me see if I wrap my head around this. People were taking the free level, which only gave you like what, 2 classes, 3 classes a week. A month. And it was actually 3 classes or something like, and then, well, it might have been more than that, but they like would rotate those classes. Right. It was a limited library. Yes. And you got three a month. And so, and those people weren't converting.
Right.
But people with the free trial were converting.
Well, the way I heard it was people with the mid-tier, like the app 1 that you had to pay some amount of money, where you got 3 classes a month for $12.99. 3 classes a month for $12.99 are on 2 different kinds of cardio. I think it was like bike classes or tread. Anyway, those people converted.
Okay.
But the $0 people did not convert.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I guess the free people were just only there for the free.
I think so.
I see this with concerts. Like if I have a show where I'm giving away lots of tickets because it's not doing well.
Yeah.
Which of course only happens once every 4 or 5 years. But like the prize pigs come out.
Right.
And then they come at you for every show.
They expect it.
Right. They're like,
more for free,
yeah,
free.
and it'll be like, well, how come you don't have free tickets? I don't really want these free tickets to Foghat. Can I trade them in for free tickets to Taylor Swift? Like.
Oh, gee, why didn't I think of that?
Not that we're doing Taylor Swift, but
you did that one year.
We did. On our way up, we did. Yeah. But yeah, and so it's like I think that they were probably getting the prize pigs.
I would agree. I mean, it's like I remember we saw this on dating apps that like the free ones. It's like there's so many disgusting people on the free apps for dating.
We don't mean we're not even saying like physically disgusting.
Oh, no.
We mean like they're garbage human beings.
Yes. Yes. And also I remember whenever I was married to my ex-husband, he was quite the gamer. And he would like try to play free games, but whenever you played free games, it was a very different experience than even like $10 a month games. Like the difference in quality of people that you interacted with when MMORPGs first came out was incredible with just a few dollars a month. It didn't take much. And I think that's what Peloton is seeing. Like they're not going to convert because they never were going to convert. Right. They just have no interest. They just want something for free.
Yeah.
They're not there because they like Peloton.
For sure. I'd also be interested to know how many of those people are even really using it. Or they just signed up because it's free and then they never touch it again.
It's hard to say.
If you're making them pay $12 a month or $12.99 a month,
they have a little skin in the game.
They got some skin in the game. And that makes a difference.
It does make a difference. I also thought it was interesting that the world like tried to implode, and everyone is saying that's why the stock is down, despite the fact that the entire tech sector has been shit this week.
Yeah.
It's like, it's because Peloton dropped the free tier. Yeah, that's what did it.
If there's one thing the stock market hates, it's when you stop giving away your product for free.
I tell you what.
Like
these armchair experts.
Listen to the words coming out of your mouth.
Anyway.
Peloton is adding the ability to share classes from the bike.
Yeah, directly from the bike. So this has been an option for quite a while on the app where you could send class invites to people that you were following. You could pick 1 or 2 people or, selective people, or you could say all followers, and that's a lot of fun, especially if you have like a milestone you're celebrating, you want everybody to show up for. Well, now you can do it straight from the bike. And also you are able to now plan your schedule and then share that. So if you're like, I'm going to be taking 5 classes this week, and maybe you always work out with Betty down the street.
Right.
You can then send your schedule every class to Betty so you guys can work out at exactly the same time. So that's pretty fun. You never could do that directly from the bike before.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. There have been some adjustments made to the delivery times for the Tread Plus.
Yes, and I'm sure somebody will pick up on this in a few weeks and start reporting on it. But for now, you're hearing it here. So Tread Plus delivery had been before or after, on or before March 1st, they were saying was 8 to 10 weeks, and that's what it was going to be. But now it just says most Tread orders are delivered in 2 to 3 weeks. Boom. Big change.
What do you think caused that change?
I don't know. I have theories, though. Perhaps it has something to do with the number of service people they had to have out in the field replacing the rear guards on Tread Pluses.
Okay.
That's one of my theories.
Okay.
My other theory is that perhaps we are getting close to the end of what they had in stock on the Tread Pluses.
Wouldn't that allow them to deliver them faster if they already had a pre-existing stock?
Yeah, in my head, though, that meant that like more had been created somewhere, but they never said that they did that. So if they did, it's never been announced. That was just like where my head went.
Right.
Nothing to back that up. So I think it's probably more likely it had to do with the amount of service technicians and who they had to contract to get those people to come out and do that. By the way,
yes,
I feel like I should let everybody know that I had my rear guard installed on the Tread Plus, and it was a super easy process. The guy that came was from a company I'd never heard of, but it was local to St. Louis. Mm-hmm. They work on exercise equipment exclusively. He had never seen a tonal, and oh my God, he about died. So after we got done oohing and ahhing over the tonal, we got back to that. And he brought his little handy dandy machine thing to like unscrew and screw the screws to make it a lot faster, because apparently where they are, if you have to hand do it, that takes longer.
Gotcha.
He had it down to like in and out in 20 minutes. Done. It was super easy. So I had a very good experience with it.
Awesome.
I hope others do as well.
If you were wondering why there were so few live classes this week, or the studio was closed, it was because of the Instructor Summit.
Yeah, so they tell everybody that it's studio maintenance, and I'm sure that is one reason. Like
Sure.
this is when
You're
they
gonna
change
time it.
This is when
Why
they change
not?
light bulbs. This
Yeah.
is when they make sure everything is like all the cords and dust and stuff. But they also have an Instructor Summit. So that happened this week, and then that was in New York City for the New York instructors, but they are also having an Instructor Summit over in London, and Robin and Allie, at the very least, were headed over to that summit as
Gotcha.
well. So that is part of what is going on this week as well.
And while we're talking about studio closures, we should probably talk about studio closures, which is, it happens throughout the year, and
It does.
those dates are posted, but don't necessarily rely on them.
Never rely. Double check. This year, this week, for instance, they had said that it was going to be back open on the 22nd, and then last minute they changed it so that it was going to be closed on the 22nd of April. So you always want to double check. You want to make sure that you are looking into that. As far as what is coming up going forward, Memorial Day holiday, they are saying they are only closed 5/27. I don't know. Seems to me in the past it's been the whole weekend, so we will see. But be aware that's going to be a closure, as well as Pause and Reflect on June 19th and on 7/4 through 7/7. We will also have a summer studio closure from 8/6 through 9/2 and a holiday closure from 12/23 through 1/1 of 25. That's right. We're talking about 25.
And stick around, because coming up after this, we're going to talk to Dr. Jenn. We got a question from a listener who is in grad school and needs help on how to stay consistent when their schedule is that busy. So stick around.
Getting the psychological edge with Dr. Jenn.
Joining us once again via the magic of ZoomTube is Dr. Jenn Mann, licensed marriage, family, and child therapist and sports psychology consultant. She was a 5-year national team member in rhythmic gymnastics and sports psychology for USA Gymnastics. It's Dr. Jenn. Hello.
Hi.
Oh,
This I thought was an excellent question for you specifically. This comes from Stephanie Latos, and she is a graduate student right now working on a research project, and she said that she is struggling to stay consistent in her workouts, and she goes on to say she would appreciate Dr. Jenn's thoughts on this, as she was probably once in this position as a grad student. And I was like, that's so true.
yes, I remember those days. Well, the first thing is to be realistic. Like, it's to go through grad school and expect yourself to work out every day is not realistic. And finding that balance. And I know we all love our blue check mark on our little Peloton calendar. And so I really recommend making sure that if you want to get that check mark, to do a meditation, to do a 5-minute stretch class, do a 5-minute yoga class, which also serves to keep you connected with your workout. And that you really need to kind of look at your schedule, like visually look at it, like a week in the life of, and obviously different classes have different assignments. So one week will vary from another, and look at, okay, where can I fit my workout in? And again, I caution, as I always do, don't be all or nothing. If you can get in a 20-minute workout or nothing, get in that 20-minute workout. Don't think to yourself, if I don't do a full hour workout, or, we all have these kind of certain classes in mind or certain kind of targets that we're like, well, if I don't do 30 minutes on the bike, it doesn't count. It all counts. And it's really important to come from that mindset and to keep in mind that anything you do that keeps you moving is also really good for you as a student, because that oxygen to your brain keeps you thinking more clearly. It keeps you more creative, especially if you're doing any kind of writing or research or anything like that. So you really want to utilize your workouts, not just for kind of what people traditionally think of them for, but for your mental health, for your cognitive ability, and all that sort of stuff in grad school.
Okay.
Okay.
Good advice.
Yeah. When I was in grad school, by the way, I think I worked out 2 or 3 times a week.
Okay.
And now I work out 6 or 7 days a week, but it was a different phase in my life. And I think that it really speaks to, there are certain times in your life where you're not going to be able to work out the same way. When you're in grad school, when you first start college, when you have children, when you have a second child, like there are a lot of times in your life where you have to alter what you're doing and also work on acceptance and not beating yourself up about it.
Yeah. Which can be difficult. I don't know.
Easier said than done.
I don't know about other people, but I struggle with that, as you know.
What? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I did about 21 miles with you chatting away.
I accepted that I was going to do it.
I knew it was an intense conversation when at the end of the marathon, she charged you a copay.
Well, what we always say is what happens in Big Sur stays in Big Sur.
That's right.
It's very important to be able to really let it all come out when you are walking or running 21 or 26.2 miles. Like it's really key. But I do think that what Crystal is saying about beating herself up, I think that is something that a lot of people feel.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I think that Crystal is such a great example of someone who achieves so much but beats herself up so much. And I think that we all have room for forgiveness of ourselves and also for flexibility and being able to kind of say this is where I'm at this moment in time. And I'm going to push myself and I'm going to continue to grow, but I'm also not going to take for granted where I'm at right now and kind of how hard I've worked to get here. And I think that if you're someone who's in grad school or who has other obligations that are keeping you from your ideal workout, I think you have to reassess what your ideal workout is given this phase in your life.
Absolutely.
And I think it's hard, like in Crystal's case, for her to not beat herself up because she feels like she is accomplishing things because she beats herself up.
Yeah, I think that's true. That's true.
That's a great point. And I think it would be really a fascinating experiment to see what happens if you don't. What happens if instead of beating yourself up, instead the message is, I can do that. Or I'm going to do that because I love myself and I want to grow as an athlete. Or I'm going to do that because I love myself and I want to live a really long time and I want to be there to see my kids grow up. And I know that choice of exercise or that workout plan will really help me do that or achieve these goals. Just saying.
I feel very put on the spot.
I want to try that experiment. I'm here for it. And we can even make a podcast about it.
Oh.
A new spinoff.
Oh, geez. Okay. I'm getting all hot and sweaty. I'm like, oh God, it's a lot of pressure.
Well, thank you so much for all of that. Until next time, where can people find you?
You can find me on all social media at Dr. Jenn Mann, 2 N's on Jenn, 2 N's on Mann.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Instructors in the news.
Ben and Leanne are sharing some wedding updates for those who are interested, which is a lot.
Yeah, there are a lot of people who are updated or interested in their updates, rather.
They're updated now.
They are updated now. So first of all, they are getting married next month, so in May, and there will be not one, but 2 ceremonies.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know how they are breaking that up, but that is going to happen.
Just want to make sure it takes.
They also confirmed that Leanne is going to be adding Alldis to her name, so it will be Hainsby Alldis. That will be her full name.
Sounds like a legal firm.
It does. Leanne Hainsby Alldis. And then let's see the other things they are doing. They were saying that everything is totally fine, that they are having no problems at all juggling wedding arrangements, home renovations, preparing for the London Marathon, and being a Peloton instructor. They're fine. Really, they're fine.
It is a lot to take on a marathon in the middle of all that.
Yeah.
Although when we were getting married, I was like, I think I'll go ahead and finish my college degree.
You did do that. I was like, Really now, huh? Okay. It all worked out, though. It was fine.
Yes.
It was
we are
fine.
still married, and I have a college degree at long last.
Thank goodness it was only the one glass.
Yes.
I don't think you could have taken two. I think your brain would have exploded from the stress
It would have.
because you hate math.
Oh, yeah, it almost exploded from the math, and it was math for dumb people. The math, I think this is funny. When you sign up for the math class, it literally said, this class is a prerequisite for nothing.
Nothing.
They're like, if you are ever going to take another math class,
Don't take this class.
do not take this. And it said that. Do not take this math class. It's basically like, this math class is for people with bullshit degrees, like mass communications. And so
It was perfect.
so they're like, so those people can take it because we know it doesn't really matter, but we have to pretend like we taught them math. That's who this class is for. And I was like, oh, that's me.
That is you.
That's me. I'll take that. The Boston Marathon was this week, and both Matt Wilpers and Jeffrey McEachern, we're debating off air how to say it,
Jeffrey.
completed the Boston Marathon.
Yeah. And let's see. Overall, Matt finished a little bit faster. He finished the entire thing in 3 hours and 1 minute. And Jeffrey finished in 3 hours and 34 minutes. If you're wondering, that was just under a 7-minute mile for Matt. And I just want to reiterate that this was one of the hottest Boston marathons that there have been in several years, at least. Maybe
Yeah.
not ever, but in several years. And a lot of people really struggled with the heat if they were not able to train in the heat.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I'm just so impressed with these two that they finished in such amazing times. That is so cool. I also want to point out that Jeffrey is running a total of 7 marathons this year. Another one
word.
this week. He is running the London Marathon this week.
I guess if you're already in shape,
I mean, still a lot of
knock them
recovery.
all out and then never do it again.
He had all of his, his legs in those Normatec things, minutes after the thing. He was like, see you Sunday for the next one. You poor guy.
And speaking of marathons, Hannah Frankson is running the London Marathon.
She is, but her post that she did today really cracked me up. So first of all, I'm not sure we were aware. I feel like this was new information that she was running.
Okay. I can't keep track
I know
of
there's
them
a
all.
lot of instructors running a lot of marathons, but the tipsters all seem to think this was new information.
Okay.
And they are really good.
Yes.
So I'm going to think that is true. But was interesting that Hannah posted this week that she has been the face of 2 London marathons, but she's never run it. Isn't that amazing?
How does that happen? You would think all the people running, they would just get a picture of someone that's actually running and be like, oh, we'll use this picture.
I guess she just looked so fresh when she
guess.
wasn't all sweaty and gross at the end of a marathon. I don't know. But she said, I guess it's time to put my feet where my face is. Is that a saying? It's not a saying, but it is now. We're here for it, Hannah.
Very limber. I thought it was funny in her Instagram post. She talks about how the one went up, and I guess she must have just broken up with someone. And so she's like, it was great that person would have to see my face
Every bus.
all over town,
Yeah.
on all the buses, and on all the billboards. I was everywhere.
And they call it the underground there, like on
Yes.
their subway.
Yeah.
And she was saying that they were every underground station had her face everywhere. Can you imagine breaking up with somebody and their face is everywhere? Oh my God.
Yeah.
That would be terrible.
If that would have happened to me, I guess it would have had to have been a mugshot.
Yeah. Would have been a little different for you. But that's amazing. And I can't wait to see how she does.
Ash Pryor was featured in Women's Health magazine.
She was. And, I have thought that Ash is just amazing and just very brave and vulnerable with everything that she says since the day that she started.
For sure.
Because I didn't really know of her before then.
Right.
But this particular article, she just talks about how her experience has been and how when she was at Ohio State University, she was never ashamed of her weight. She said that rowing is power per pound and that as athletes, they knew how to leverage their bodies, and being tall and being bold were celebrated. When she got into the real world outside of athletics, she was like, oh, wait, people think I'm not capable.
So it actually made her better at rowing
Yes.
But when she actually entered the professional space, people are like...
Not in athletics, the world outside of
Right.
athletics. Yes, just the real world.
Yeah.
She said, but I have a championship ring, honey. I thought that this was amazing. She talked about how when she got a part-time job after college at a big box gym, she decided to focus on strength in that class. And when she finished, people came up to her and said, thank you for showing us that we don't have to be a size small to be fit or to be an instructor. And her class went from 5 to 20 plus people coming in because she made it fun and free to be yourself. And she says that was the moment she realized people just want a space to be able to exist and exhale. And if you create a welcoming environment, they will accept you. I love this about her, and I love that she has added her amazing qualities to Peloton.
Absolutely. Matty Maggiacomo had a special visitor in studio this week.
Yes, and I have to say that the his group is called the Magic Makers, and they made some magic happen because there's a little bit of a link here, and I don't understand, and I cannot pretend to understand it, but it went from the Magic Makers to making sure that Meg, who we're about to talk about, Meg Morrison got to actually meet Matty, go to the studio, have a class with him, and she got her own private meet and greet, and it was amazing. Also, I guess she works at Beans and Company, and my understanding, I might have this wrong.
Okay.
Third-hand information, but it sounds to me like that is also her parents' company.
Okay.
And that's pretty cool. It's in Avon, Connecticut, so definitely go visit them. That is where Meg works. And 80% of the people, he also said 80% of the people with intellectual and developmental disabilities are unemployed or underemployed, and Bean and Company's mission is to change that. Meg is one of those people. And this was her first time getting to meet Matty, and it was super special. And she was just amazing. Her whole, she was just like a candle lit up. And then Matty also posted a video that came a couple days after this, and he got her flowers, like a potted plant, and I believe the Magic Makers also had something to do with that as well. And she was like, this is heavy. she was so funny. And then Matty asked if they could be friends, and then he wanted to be her pen pal, and she was just like, okay. It was so sweet. It was the sweetest thing ever.
Well, it's a good thing they live in Connecticut so they could drive home.
I know.
It'd be a little hard to fly home with a potted plant.
That's true. You make a good point. Yeah. But this was a very special moment. It was very cool to see. And I love that the Magic Makers made some magic.
That's why they're called that.
It is.
Coming up after this, we're going to tell you who the next artist series spotlights, and I think it will make a lot of people very, very happy. So stick around.
Peloton Artist Collaboration.
The latest artist series features Lauren Daigle.
Now, have you heard of Lauren in your day job?
Yes.
Okay. I had a feeling because you guys have a lot of Christian artists.
We do a lot of Christian artists at the venue I work at. Christian does very well for us, and we've done over the years not some of the biggest artists in Christian music. So we've done
Mercy Me,
Casting Crowns, Toby Mac, all that stuff. And we have never done Lauren Daigle because for whatever reason, her tour cycle always seemed to land the same week that we would do the circus, which is been in that same week forever and ever and ever. And so she would go to a different venue, and now she's actually outgrown mid-size arenas and she's in full-size arenas. So
good for her.
So absolutely good for her. But I know, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I know people for years have been saying they want more Christian contemporary music on the platform.
They have. And I was going to say, I think this is the first artist spotlight that I can, the first collaboration they've had. Can you think of another one?
I cannot.
I think this is it. I mean, all the way back to 2018 when the music fiasco first was resolved and they started doing artist series. I think this is the first one. So we will see. I thought it was also interesting that they had the people who were teaching were Ash, Asal, Kendall, and Kirsten. But I thought it was especially interesting because now Kendall is all like, give me all the Christian rides. And so I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I noticed that as well. But yeah, and honestly, I'm surprised that they haven't tried to build anything around Toby Mac because the Toby Mac is like, he's like the Christian Justin Timberlake.
Well, and maybe they have. Like, we know that these things take years to build. And we also know that a lot of the artists want them to be timed to new releases
For sure.
or other things.
They're using them to promote tours or albums or whatnot.
So the timing just may not have worked.
Yeah, that could very well be. But his music, I think, would fit the platform better than anybody's.
Wow. So. Okay. Well, I am very interested to see what people's feedback is from this. So curious to hear.
Well, it's like anything. If you don't like hip hop, don't take the hip hop rides.
Oh, for sure.
If you don't like the Christian music, don't take the Christian music rides.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm just curious if it's like popular enough that they keep seeing more come back. That's I think it will be based on what you guys do at the arena, if nothing else.
Yeah, I think it absolutely will be. And my guess is it will do very well, and you will see more.
Okay.
Past guest update.
We got a couple of past guest updates for you. First off, CJ Albertson ran the Boston Marathon, and he was the top U.S. finisher.
No, top U.S. finisher.
Yeah.
Sorry. He was the top 7th male overall. So
Right.
I was like, no, you got that wrong, but you were doing a different metric. I'm
Yes.
so sorry. Yes, and it was his
Did
first...
you just woman-splain to me?
I did. Also, it was his first sub 2:10 marathon. I mean, he only did it by like 3 seconds, but it does
Counts.
not matter.
Counts.
Can you, just to put that in perspective, my marathon time will be literally 3 times that. 3 times.
So while you run a marathon, I could watch all 3 Godfather movies.
Yes.
And when he runs a marathon, I couldn't even watch one.
Exactly. I mean, that is mind-blowingly fast.
It is.
I just cannot say enough about how talented CJ Albertson is. And I am just rooting for him. I just think he has such amazing, huge things in front of him.
Especially when, and I don't mean this to denigrate what Matt Wilpers did.
No.
But obviously Matt Wilpers is in incredible shape. Being in shape, running is his job. And he beat him by almost an hour, right? Mm-hmm. That's insane.
It's hard to fathom that somebody can be that fast.
Right.
And it's also really cool because CJ Albertson is also just an amazingly nice guy.
He was so nice.
I mean, there are a lot of athletes who have huge egos, and CJ is not one of those people.
Yeah.
So he just has a special place in my heart because when he was on the show, could not have been nicer.
Sure.
I know you remember that, and just the sweetest guy.
Also, Stephen Little, longtime Peloton users remember Stephen Little. He was, I think, the first breakout instructor that just had just a next level rabid fan base before he moved on.
Yes.
And he was on the show a year or 2 ago, I guess.
Yeah.
And he was also featured recently on the Get Railed podcast.
Yes.
I think I'm saying that right.
I think so too.
Yeah, and it's a lady's name, Ray, and it's this Raelled if you're looking for it. But he was discussing his sobriety.
Yeah, and he posted about this as well. He did a really big post, and he talked about how sobriety is so different for so many people. But for him, it had to do with... In his post, he said this. He might have said something more profound even than on the podcast. But he talked about how it affects his emotions and it affects how well he treats himself. And that's why he's been sober for, I want to say he said 18 months now.
Yeah, I thought the thing said 16.
Or 18.
I thought it said 16. And just in the description of the podcast, it said that he had decided to do, I guess, the dry January or whatever. And then and then he did 1 month, and then he was like, I'll just keep doing this. And then it was 3 months, and then now it's been 16. He just kind of never went back.
Yeah. And I don't know, I got the impression he might stay that way. He feels great. And it's good to see him in such a healthy, happy place.
Yeah, absolutely. So
speaking of people having a special place in my heart, he was my first favorite instructor.
He was. I remember getting that picture.
Oh my God. I was so giddy. Our first trip to the mothership. Back when you could take instructor pictures on the stage.
Yeah, that's true.
There were no bodyguards. That was amazing.
New content.
Before we dig into the content, the new content of the week for people to check out, let's do our bingo call out.
All right, bingo number 2 is Mela Wedekind.
Ta-da. So But what's the look?
I don't know what you're laughing at.
Because the look you're giving me when I said that. And it was not a comment on male, just to be clear.
Okay.
It's always feel anticlimactic when we're like, there's a name.
I know. What? We need sound effects. That's why I tried to add sound effects.
So now it's time to take a look at the Clip Out Top 5, where you tell us your favorite classes of the week, and then we share them with the class.
All right.
So item number 1, favorite Peloton ride.
Well, it is with Cliff Dwenger from 4/7/24, 30 minutes, gloriously gospel ride. Paul Zeke shared Cliff Dwenger's 30-minute gloriously gospel ride. He had 4 gospel singers in the studio singing live and rocking the house. That's really cool. This is part of his new signature series, and it's taught in German, but the music is in English, and the vibe is universal.
Okay. Well,
subtitles available on demand in English.
Okay. Hopefully they don't try to ride a bike wearing those robes.
No, they were singing on the platform next to him.
They're going to get hurt.
In their beautiful robes. They look gorgeous.
Item number 2, favorite Peloton strength.
Okay, so this was from April 8th, and it was with Asal Aryan, and it was a 20-minute Ed Al-Fatir, I think is how you say that. It was a full body strength, and Nadine Armstrong said this was a gem. She said it was a great full body workout complete with dance breaks, and I hope she does more. I was just going to say that is the Festival of Breaking the Fast, if you were wondering what the Ed Al-Fatir means, or listeners were wondering, and that celebrates the end of Ramadan.
Number 3, favorite Peloton hiking boot camp.
Okay, so this was a 60-minute hiking boot camp with Rebecca Kennedy. It was a full body, and it was from April 9th. So Melissa Solon and Rebecca Allen both recommended it. Melissa said that there were 10 rounds, max incline, and be sure to grab some heavy weights. Rebecca Allen agreed and said, I've done all her hiking boot camps. This was the most challenging. Such an amazing workout, but low impact.
Number 4, favorite Peloton walk.
Okay, so the 30-minute Broadway walk with Matty Maggiacomo was on 4/14. People loved it. And this is talking about Meg that we talked about earlier, the special moment. Well, they have created this very special friendship, again, due to the Magic Makers, and, well, they got to meet in person this time. So that was really cool. Absolutely. And Dina Williams and Curvy Knockout were among some people that listened, and Curvy Knockout said she loved seeing #EveryoneBelongs. Shout outs to Yas Queen and Meg Morrison for being such lights.
And finally,
Can I just say what Matty said about this class?
Sure.
He said, everyone belongs. My friend Meg came to visit PSNY today for a Broadway walk. She unexpectedly proposed to me, so I guess I have a new girlfriend now. Thanks for bringing Yas Queen and for bringing Meg Morrison into my life. We had the best time today. Special shout out to Beans and Company. So
awesome. And then finally, number 5, your favorite unstackable.
All right. It was a run this week, 60-minute intervals run with Bex Gentry. This was from 4/14. And I have not taken this one, but it's been on my list.
Okay.
It's just, I'm waiting for a day that I need to push. Danette Royal Giles says that it was unstackable. She kept pushing intense intervals until the very end. There you go.
Okay. And then let's take a look at this week at Peloton. We have a 45-minute Pilates Pulse Hour with Kristen McGee.
I love that they're having longer and longer Pilates classes.
Yes.
I always wondered about that when they said Pulse Hour and the classes were 10 minutes. I was like, what are we doing? But they're up to 45 minutes, and this is as they say, a revitalizing full body experience.
Okay. Pre-ride warm-ups. That's hard to say.
It is.
With Allie Love and Ben Alldis.
Yeah, so we have some brand new classes from Allie and Ben, and they are listed on demand, and you can use them to get ready for your ride.
Tag Team Row Boot Camp with Adrian and Emma Lovell. Sounds like they're a married couple. You can put it like that.
Well, they are not. They are both taken. But it was Emma Lovewell's week to join the row boot camp with Adrian, and it was a special class, and that dropped this week as well.
And you also have a new FTP warm-up and test with Christine.
I mean, if you want to put yourself through hell, no, I'm just kidding. Those are great classes, and it's nice to always have additional instructors doing the tests and the warm-up.
And finally, for content, Sam Yo has a new class that people seem to really dig. He takes you to an 80s video store.
All right, I have to tell you, it's not really a new class. This is why I had it originally listed under Instructor News. I didn't know where to put it, but I just felt like we needed to feature it because Lindsay, our helper bee Lindsay,
yes,
she is writing a special series, and it is going to be, she's going to take each of these 80s video classes, and she's going to report back all of the things you need to know about these classes. So she has a list of the classes and that she has found, and they start back in 2021 from 7/31, and then November, and then there's one in 2022, and then there's one in 2023, and now there's one this year. So there's a total of 5, and she said that each of them is all about a movie. So she's also asking the community to tell her if there's any more that she's missed. Like she can't find one, like if she can't find them. But they deep dive into the movie. So each one is like super special on that specific movie. Like one of the ones that he did was a Ghostbusters one. I know that's not on the official list. I know it's a little different. I'm just giving an example. But this is just a great series, and Lindsay's creativity was just worth highlighting. And of course, Sam's amazing classes. He is one of the nicest people on the planet, and I don't think he gets enough love. So
these classes already exist. She's just going back and spotlighting them.
Yes.
So I guess you could say she's going to be kind and rewind.
Nicely done, Tom.
Thank you.
In case you missed it.
Peloton had a Latinx celebration last weekend.
They did. They celebrated the heritage of the Latin community and also the amazing members. And they talked to, they had this particular video that we showed a little picture of is different people saying how you get your Latin card taken away. Yeah. It was really funny, but also some of the instructors that were present, like Mariana Fernandez, she did a whole video highlighting like the moments that occurred over the weekend. Red Lopez did one. It just looked like a really special time. Just wanted to highlight that because this is all the footage we get to see of it, and it's really cool. Just want to make sure people didn't miss it.
It's funny. I was watching the video because I was trying to figure out what it was.
Sure.
And so they say what it is right at the very beginning, but the way Instagram mutes the audio, it's like by the time I would unmute the audio, I didn't realize it started with the question.
Yeah.
And it was just, and so
it was just random answers.
It was just people saying things that like you shouldn't do. And like the first one, by the time I got it unmuted, was call ketchup a condiment. And I was like, well, that's hurtful. What's wrong with ketchup? And then I finally like went back and started over, and I was like, okay. Yeah, I definitely do not deserve or should have a Latin card. So
suddenly it made a lot more sense.
Apologies. You are 100% correct. 100%.
Also, upon further reflection, this particular section would have been a good place to put the Sam Yo article.
Well, yeah, I didn't realize that they were old classes. So
glad you didn't read the article or anything. Good to know you do all your show prep.
I got like 30 topics to organize. I don't have time to stop and read all the articles.
I know because I put them there.
And then also Peloton Apparel has a new collaboration with Hatch. Oh, they missed Easter.
Well, it's okay. They're making babies.
Oh.
They're hatching babies.
These leggings crotchless?
It is a company that makes exercise apparel for pregnant women. There you go. So,
I guess crotchless could still come in handy.
I mean, depends on where you are in your pregnancy, I suppose. Well, when I read the details and description, they didn't say anything about crotchless.
Okay.
So sorry to disappoint you. Oh, my word.
And coming up after this, we're going to have our interview of the week. It's Dana Wexler, so stick around.
Checking in with the Peloton community.
Joining us today via the magic of ZoomTube, it's Dana Wexler. Hey, Dana, how's it going?
Hi, I'm wonderful. How are you guys?
We're good. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me. I'm honored.
Well, I love to start these conversations with just kind of understanding how you originally found Peloton and decided it was a good fit for you.
It's actually kind of a funny story. So I came home one day and my husband said to me, listen, I bought you something. And I'm like, what? He said, I got you a Peloton. And at that point, I had never heard of Peloton. Never heard of it. I had a little elliptical in my garage and I was super happy. And I said, how much did you pay for that? He told me, and I'm like, return it. I'm not getting it. That is crazy. He's like, don't worry, it's your birthday gift. And I'm like, because like, it's a lot. Anyway, we ended up getting it and I literally fell in love with it immediately. But kind of a backstory, I'm kind of one of those people that like you give me something and I just go for it. So I never read anything. I never like looked up anything. I never read directions. I never read instructions. I saw there was a power button and a play button. So I just went. So it's been almost 5 years that I've had it. I think I'm coming up on my 5-year anniversary actually.
Okay.
And it wasn't until almost my 500th milestone, I believe, on the bike that someone reached out to me and like, oh my gosh, I noticed that you have a milestone coming up. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I had not a clue. I didn't know how to do high fives. I didn't know that those were like real people on the leaderboard. I just didn't know anything. So it's kind of a weird start to my journey, but now I understand, I think, a lot more about Peloton and the company and how connected people can be with it, which has been, I think, the best part.
Okay. Well, how do you connect with other people?
Mostly through Instagram and Facebook groups. And the groups are iffy at sometimes, but for the most part now that I'm past what was and moved on to what is, the groups are amazing. Like absolutely amazing. The people, the connections, the camaraderie, the pats on the back, the cheering you on, the milestone recognitions, it's all amazing.
Yeah, it definitely feels like each group has its own vibe.
For sure.
So, yeah.
Do they ever?
Yeah.
It's funny, like I always want to talk about it, but I'm like, so I don't, because I'm a really positive person. So I stay on the side of like everything's positive. But yeah, that's exactly right. Exactly how you said that.
Like, it sounds like you've experienced the official Peloton page.
Oh, I have. And it.
Yeah, that one's the
great.
worst.
It's by far the worst.
They kicked me out.
What?
Like they blocked me and I'm like, I don't know what I did. And the only thing I can say is that like I was too happy and too upbeat. I don't know. I've never experienced that kind of I don't want to say like hatred towards someone before. It was confusing to me and iffy and weird, but
they blocked you on the official Peloton page?
That was the official one.
Huh.
I haven't been in that group in almost 3 years.
Because that's run by official Peloton employees. So
right.
I'm like, and they just didn't tell you, they just blocked you and you have no idea why? That's so weird.
Yep.
That's very odd.
Yep.
Yeah.
But like I said, that's been almost 3 years ago. So like I've gotten past that. But now everyone that I'm in the groups with now is super nice. But yeah, that wasn't the only group. Huh. And like I've never done anything. I'm only ever supportive and excited about, fitness and helping people and I don't know.
Well, what's your fitness journey been like? Have you always been somebody who's been super into fitness or has that been recent for you?
I want to say it's been more recent that I'm more active in it. Growing up, I was a dancer, but always I always feel like I gravitate toward Christine, the instructor, because her journey is kind of a lot like my journey. Both dancers living in the studio and never quite fit the tutu body. And you heard it all the time. So, I was a dancer in college. I was a professional dancer for the Marlins and I've done cirque shows and I've been around. Like dance has been my life and performing has been my life. And, sometimes the coach will pull you aside and say like, hey, you know what, we're going to put you on weight probation for a little bit until you can, make sure your love handles aren't like coming out of a uniform. I can't even tell you how horrible those moments are. But again, that's all in the past. I'm a different human being now, but because of all those struggles, I have a different sense for people's journeys because everyone's journey to where they are now started with something that upset them, typically, and something that they want to change. Usually it's mental, sometimes it's physical. But my parents are both physical therapists. So being around fitness, my dad was always into fitness. You know, he had a home garage gym, which is what I wanted to have. Like, I knew growing up when I became an adult, I wanted to have a garage gym because that's what I grew up with. So he was always playing tennis. He was always, you know, taking walks and working out in the gym and using the punching bag, and, you know, physical therapy and being active was their life. So it kind of became mine. And then, you know, my dad pulled me aside one day. He said, look, I think you'd be an amazing personal trainer. And I'm like, yeah, right. Like, Dad, I'm being told I'm fat. Like, personal training isn't really for me. And he said, listen, because of who you are and because of your personality and the way you take care of people, you will do great. So I did. I started in personal training, worked at a couple of gyms in Miami, ended up working at a gym here in Naples. And my fitness journey has been one that I'm really, really proud of. I was never a runner before. I did obviously do, like, I taught tread boot camp classes. I taught aerobics. You know, I trained a lot of people, but I was never a runner. And when I got the tread, actually is when I became a runner. And suddenly I went from like 0 to 90 in like days. And I just felt this because, again, being a dancer, movement is my world. You give me music and you give me an opportunity to move and I can go forever. And that's actually one of the things why I feel like the one Peloton group kicked me out of, is because I am so, I won't say I overdo it, but I train every morning for like over 2 hours, not because of a certain way I want to look, but because it's just my time frame. You know, I start every morning at 4:15 a.m. and I stop every single day at 6:30, because if I don't stop at 6:30, I can't get ready for work on time. I'm also an educator. So, but like, that's my window. Like, that's my happy place. I am alone. I can go from the bike. I can go from the tread. I can just do what I want, listen to music, listen to the instructors, zone out, whatever it is. Like, that's my time. Throwing high fives on the leaderboard, you know, doing all the power zone rides that I have to do. It's just like my happy place. And it makes me feel fulfilled. And then I've got energy throughout the entire day to do whatever I need to do to help my students, help my family. But, you know, like this morning I ran a half marathon on a treadmill, and that to me is normal. I ran actually an ultra marathon on the Peloton tread. That to me was just a thing. I just wanted to run an ultra marathon. I wanted to say that I've done it, and that's it. I have no medals. I've never paid to run a race. I don't race outside. I do them all on the tread. And for me, it's fine. Like, I don't need, but again, I'm also one of those that kind of lives in like this, I don't want to say a bubble, but I like my routine. And I work every single morning, even Saturday and Sunday. So for me to have to adjust the rest of my day in order to either travel for a race or then to like take my family and like get a hotel room to do something, then I have to cancel all like my tutoring students and my other work schedules to do that. So I just do it all in my garage, and it works for me. But I'm not sure if I answered your question correctly, but that's kind of been my journey. It's just been an avenue of fun, fitness, health, and I feel great. I'm always motivated to find someone that I want to work out with, whether it's a Peloton member or a trainer. You know, with the fact that they do all these, you know, music first type classes or like music specific type classes, sometimes I'll just gravitate toward those. And, you know, I don't really care who's teaching the class as long as the music's good. It works for me and I feel great.
Well, that's great. So I'm just curious, since you have a history of being a personal trainer, was that difficult to go from being a trainer to a trainee? No, because there's these moments in your life where you don't want to work. And that's one of them for me. My every morning, I don't have to work. I get to just like when I take dance class, you know, I take dance class twice a week, and I'm always asked, when are you going to teach the class? I don't want to teach the class. I just want to be present and I want to give it my all. And I just sometimes want to zone out and let somebody else do the work for me. No, that makes
we pay a lot of money for Peloton.
For sure.
It's nice to have somebody else teaching what to do. I don't have to think. I don't have to plan. I just go.
Sure.
Just push play and go.
No, that makes total sense. I use the tonal, and that's one of the things I like about tonal is that I don't have to think about it or worry about what weight I'm at, like what weight lifting wise I'm at, or anything like it. Just knows, and I go, and I don't think about it.
It's absolutely the best. It's just one of those zone out. Like, it's one moment in my day where I don't have to think about anything. I don't have to parent. I don't have to teach. I don't have to train. I don't have to do anything.
So
it's done for me.
How do you decide what classes to take? Since you have the bike and the tread, obviously you like to mix them up. So how do you weave them together into your...
I have the rower too. Okay,
yeah.
So here's the thing. If I'm doing one of those Peloton challenges, obviously those are pre-planned for me. So those I have to make sure I get in per week. But I like to lift weights. So I will do that at least 4 times a week. And then sometimes I just feel like I want to run. So I'll just take a couple classes on run. But typically I go by trainer first. I'll usually pinpoint the trainer that I want. And then obviously if it's the music that I like. And sometimes if I can't figure it out at all, I'll go on what they're wearing.
That's
sometimes like they're wearing something where I'm like, I'm not sure if I can look at that for 45 minutes. Or sometimes it's cute. I think I can look at that for 45 minutes or 30 minutes. So I know that sounds so dumb, but when you know that you're staring at a screen and you know that you need to have like your full heart involved or else you're going to just lose it, you really have to go based on what's going to motivate you. And sometimes that's it. So usually it's trainer by time. And then when it comes to the rower, that has been a huge humbling piece of equipment. I'm pretty good at most things. You can throw anything my way and I can figure out a way to succeed at it. But the rower has been something I have struggled with from day one. But I will only do the row classes when it's live and the 6 a.m. ones. Because like once my day started, I can't work out. Like I can't work out in the afternoon. I can't do an evening workout. I'm still working and I've got my kids and activities and all the other stuff. So the 6 a.m. live rows are the only time I'm on the rower. So luckily that's almost every morning. So I'll usually do the power zone ride. And then I'll get on the tread and either do a run or a hike. And then I'll join in either the 6 a.m. row or the 6 a.m. ride. But they don't really seem to have the 6 a.m. tread classes. Sometimes they do, but it's hard for me to... I don't like it when they put all the equipment on a live at 6 a.m. because then I have to choose.
Decisions must be made.
That's hard, but usually that's the only time I'll get on the rower. So I go based on the fact that I do need to lift weights, at least 4 times a week. And then sometimes I'll just run, like I said, or the power zone classes, which are already planned.
So what is it about the row stuff that makes you only take it live?
Yeah.
Because I suck at it.
But why does that make a difference from a training standpoint?
Because I don't feel like I get a lot out of it. I'm sure that people are going to hate me for saying this. So I like to play around with numbers. I'm horrible at math, but I'm good to know like when numbers are high or low. So on the rower, my output is really sucky. I'm on the bottom of the leaderboard, which typically for rides, I'm usually towards the top. And for runs, I'm somewhere in the middle. So the rower, I'm always at the bottom, which I know we never compare ourselves to others, but I can't quite figure out why my numbers are so low. Like I've messed around with everything, like the way I lean back, the way I come forward. And I don't burn a lot and I don't feel like I get a ton out of it, although I know I am. I know deep down, it's getting to deeper muscles that the bike or the weights or the tread can't get, but you don't really feel it until you're done. So it's just not a piece of equipment that I would just go on.
Okay.
I need the accountability of all the family that's there to actually go on it.
And when you do your weights, are you doing Peloton or do you do those outside? You have a process that you do outside of Peloton?
I sometimes will do the Beachbody workouts because I still have that platform as well. Uh-huh. So depending on if I need sometimes you want to always keep that motivation going and sometimes you lose it and sometimes you need to change things just you have the tonal, like you said. Sometimes you just need to break free for a little bit So sometimes I'll go back to those workouts and then I'll come back to the Peloton ones. But typically when I do have to do weights, I like to do like a boot camp class. So I still feel like I love cardio. Like I am an endurance freak. Like I could go forever. So I like being able to do those boot camps, whether they're bike boot camps or tread boot camps or the road boot camps, because I know I'm still getting my cardio that I love. And then I have no choice but to do weights. So that's always helpful. Because if I didn't have to do weights and weights wasn't important to feel good and look good, I wouldn't. Because I don't love doing it, but I know it is important. So having those boot camps there makes me want to do it. And like I said, I don't have a choice, but I will sometimes do those Beachbody workouts as well, just to kind of filter in a little difference every now and then.
That makes sense. So you said that you feel like you found your groups that fit you. I'm just curious which groups you tend to gravitate towards.
I love the Power Zone group. I love them. They're all really supportive and loving, and no one has been mean or nasty at all. There's the UK group, which has also been wonderful. The UK group and I know I don't live in the UK, but they are my leaderboard friends, and they have been since I started because I'm on at 4:15 every day. For them, that's like the late morning. Right. So they've always been my Peloton family. So I joined that group years ago, and they've all been awesome. The Peloton rave group I was in for a little bit because I did, I don't remember what it was. It might have been the Pelofondo I did with them. But those are really and the Jewish Peloton group as well, because being that I'm Jewish, it's nice to have that community as well. So I'm also a part of that one. Yeah. But that's really it. I'm not really in any more than that.
Is the rave group, is that like EDM based? Is that what the rave means?
And I really don't know why. I think... So I was in the Mileage Maniacs group for a while as well, and they were another group that booted me out again. Not really sure why, but when I was booted out of that one and then the Pelofondo was coming up, I didn't have a group to go to. And so I was scrolling on the app trying to find some group to join, and I saw the ravers, and I'm like, oh, they like music. So I clicked on them, I joined their group, and then I asked, I'm like, is it okay? Because at that point, I'm like, I don't know who hates me, who likes me, whatever. So at that point, I'm like, is it okay if I join your group? And they're like, of course. And I'm like, oh, you're nice.
Well, what about your favorite instructors? How do you decide who's your favorite?
Oh, I hate answering this question. I typically will choose Adrian first. I just like the way he runs his class. He seems to be very calm, but also really understands what he's doing. And he says things in a way that just kind of speaks to you. I love Christine on the bike. I feel like if we were together, we'd be like best friends. Like I could just talk to her forever. Everything she says, like just goes straight to your heart. And I love her music because it's music I don't hear. It's such a hard question for me to answer. I really do like them all. There are some that I don't go to. Sure. A lot of them happen to be like the UK trainers. I think just because they're not ones that I started with. Because like I said, when I first got my equipment, I just like click, go, click, go, click, go. Sure. You know, it's funny, when I first got my equipment, I would do the 90-minute classes. That's all I would do was 90 minutes, because I didn't know at that point that like the classes racked up in order to get to like milestones. So I probably could have hit milestones way earlier in my Peloton, life. If I hadn't started with 90-minute classes all the time. But I didn't know I didn't know any better. I also found out later that if you exit a class early and don't do the cool down, you don't get marked off for it or something like that. And that made one of the groups really mad because they were like, you're not even finishing the workout. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I didn't know. I'm like, I don't need to cool down now. I want to get to my next class. Like I just didn't know. But I really like them all.
Cool.
Yeah. So if do you have any advice for people just entering the world of Peloton?
I would just say don't overthink it. Like I think people they get so caught up in like the world of Peloton. I'm not in that world. Like, I've never gone to the studios. I don't really follow the trainers. I don't really know a whole lot like about what's happening on like the business end of Peloton. I just use it as fitness equipment.
Mm-hmm.
And I love to give high fives. I just love to see people on, and I'm like, yeah, you're on, you're doing great. I love, when people start like jumping my numbers and we're like playing around with like the same numbers on the leaderboard. Like, to me, that's all I need. I just want something that's going to make me happy. I want people that are kind. I'm just not a part of the world of like the competition part of the Peloton world. And like I said, I just kind of stay away from that stuff. So I would say to new members, just have fun. Like, push play, mess around with trainers, mess around with, and I didn't even know for a long time that there were programs that you could do, like programs. And I never knew there was like the You Can Row program. I never knew there was like a Power Zone program. Like I said, I turned it on and I picked a workout. I never read anything. I never knew that there were groups for a long, long time. I didn't know that there was an Instagram group. I didn't know that there were Facebook groups. I didn't know that there were milestones. I didn't really know and then for a long time, I was given high fives and they weren't going anywhere. And then I'd come to find out that that's because those are the people that took the class like forever ago. And they're not the people that are on right now. So I'm like, what is everyone talking about? Like, you'd click a person and it would bring you back to like the main screen on the side. And I'm like, what?
There is a learning curve.
Everyone's doing something. But, it's just, but again, some people like that. They like understanding what they're doing and they want to figure things out. I'm just not that way.
Well, some people learn by immersion, right?
That's
you just
true.
jump in and you figure it out on the fly.
And that's me.
Yeah.
You throw me into a pack of wolves and I'll figure it out. Like, I don't need to learn about the wolves. I don't need to like learn what they like and what they don't like. I just want to go. Like,
well, I will give you a little tip.
figure it out.
Don't high five a wolf.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
That's true.
ill-advised. So what is your leaderboard name?
Goldilocks 14, but it's spelled LOX because I am Jewish. So
Sure.
Sure.
Makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
and 14 because I was born on March 14th. So
Gotcha.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us. Before we let you go, let everybody know where they can find you in all the places if you would like to be found.
Oh, sure. So Facebook, Dana Wexler. I should come right up. It says like Dana Rochelle Cohen Wexler because Cohen was my maiden name. Very Jewish. And Instagram, Sunny_D_light14. And then I just started a new Instagram as well that is mainly for women, just like a women's outlet, women's support, women's posting. And that's consistency_coach.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
Yes.
Thank you. This has been amazing. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
So I guess that brings this episode to a close. Until next week, where can people find you?
People can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Crystal D. O'Keefe. They can also find me on other social media and the Peloton platform at ClipOutCrystal.
And you can find me on Twitter at Roger Kubert or on Facebook at facebook.com/Tom O'Keefe. You can find the show online at facebook.com/TheClipOut. While you're there, like the page, join the group, and of course, don't forget our Patreon, where for $5 a month, you get ad-free episodes, you get bonus content, which we're just about to go record, and you help us out. We greatly appreciate it. So that's it for this one. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, keep pedaling
And running.
and running.
Clip in